And it's hilarious that you said that because the word sweeper has now become like extremely Googled from
Right.
baseball people. Sweeping breaking balls, hard, like Blake Trinan changing going from throwing tons and tons of cutters to the bigger moving slider, changing things to get the bigger movement, the Chaz Rowe effect, right? And guys are going for that because people adjust and everyone's throwing fastballs up, and the complement to a fastball up is a depth breaking ball or a depth. So people throwing crazy amounts of breaking balls. They're seeing so many breaking balls. They're seeing so many fastballs up that you're like, this is all I get. This is all there is now, like in the baseball. So now hitters are starting to adjust a little bit, and they're not being as effective.
Cat and mouse game there.
Cat and mouse game. So now the adjustment is, okay, now we want the strike to ball to be as much off the plate as it was below now. So the thing about pitches off the plate, like away from a righty, a slider breaking away from a righty, guys that will chase that, you physically can't hit it. So like there's no foul ball happening there. There's no fouling it off. There's no fighting it off. And that is that's like the ultimate absolute, result is like when the ball isn't touched at all, it's just a strike. Like there's nothing can happen after that. And so you want that. And then what complements that? The opposite movement. So it's not sinker as much as it's lamina or two seam, or it's something that's running way in on guys. But the weird complement thing of that is like guys who throw that, you just generally get balls off the barrel, but you do give it more contact than the, perceived upward movement, the rise ball per se. That gets more swing and misses, but it also is hit harder when it is hit. So like this is the cat and mouse we're playing now. And I'm not going to lie, the sweeper idea, I've never thrown anything with a ton of horizontal movement, except for a cutter I threw when I was like a rookie, or like my slider. It was a cutter. It was like just a little baby slider. And it actually had more horizontal than depth. And it's the first pitch. I had to look way back to 2014 to look it up and see that. But nothing I've thrown up to that has ever had, let's say, a baseball savant number that was red. In horizontal, it's always blue because I'm such a north to south guy, which still plays and still will play. Like it's just not, it's not even something like it's the fastball up is always going to be something that's like I see it and it's the big eyes, the I can hit that. Oh no, I can't. Like that's the effect of the swing, and that's not going to go away. Hitters are always getting big eyes when they see something they can hit. So it's going to be there. It's just the guys that are able to foul it off, or at least like when I come into a game in the eighth inning, the Blue Jays did this to me this year. Through first outing against them, got 2 punch outs, hold, and a really good inning. Next time I pitched against them, it was like Teoscar and Bo and all those guys, and they were just hunting heaters up. And all 3 of them got singles on fastballs up out of the zone. And I was like, man, I should have made the adjustment a little bit earlier today. And Simeon actually did too. So I was like, maybe I should have known that immediately when Marcus Simeon's swinging at something on his chin and he hits it, because it's just not his bread and butter usually. I should have known at that point that the game plan was, hey, let's take this away from him, right? And so now guys are countering that with that sweeping breaker. And it's really interesting to me, and I'm going to see if I can throw one.
I was at that game, actually, on the Sunday one.
Oh, yeah.
Against Toronto, yeah.
And we won.
Yes, we
did.
You
know who came in and saved me?
McNeil. McNeil got the hit in that game.
And McNeil, yeah. Yes. But a loop got us out of that that inning too. So and
I think Rich Hill started the game also.
Yes, Rich first game over.
Because I was at the game also.
Oh, that's right. You were a Ruve.
I think I recorded. I think Alonso hit a homer to left, so I did record that. I saw that. So
there you go.
But in comparison to movement, how important is pitch velocity and spin rate to you specifically?
It's fairly important. Spin axis has become more of the spin efficiency has become more of my focus because you don't necessarily. I feel like you get diminishing returns on, or maybe the opposite of whatever that is, increasing returns the higher the spin rate goes. So if you're not able to get your breaking ball up over 3,000, 25 to 3,000 is kind of generally similar, but once you get above that, that's when it starts to become like this outlier pitch. And so if you're sitting at like 25-50, you're like, well, how could I get 500 more spin rate? There is one way to do it, but we don't do that anymore, guys. So because they take our glove after every inning. So I'm not as worried about it as much, and I'm just like, this is kind of where I'm at. Maybe I can get a little bit of how can I make this as efficient possible, because I'm above average on most things. Like I'm above average with the changeup, actually with slower spin, above average with the fastball. It's funny, the day we got they started checking for 6 stuff was the highest spin rates I've had all year, which was just a weird. Our analytics guys were like, "What do you do? What happened?" I'm like, "I have no idea. I'm so sorry. It was just I felt good. Maybe I was a little mad too that I knew I was going to get checked. I don't know." But efficiency is definitely it.
How often do you speak to the analytics guys on the team?
Oh, I hang out with them all the time. They're my buddies. I could definitely. I'm like, if I wasn't a player, and I went to college but didn't end up being like good and didn't end up like having the option of playing professional baseball, that I could have very easily been in an analytics department. Just because I've always loved math. It's not. The math isn't as involved as other jobs would have been. It's more straightforward. It's just a lot of different numbers and the ways that they interact with each other. That's super interesting. As you guys, you probably share that with me pretty clearly. And I just like being able to explain things and being like, this is actually what's going on. And I love how guys are embracing and finding different ways to improve themselves and being able to tailor things for specific people. And being a player too, there's always that tangible element from that. Like, bring it all the way back to that story at the beginning I told. There had to be something in my head that clicked there. That's something that exists as a player. Like, there was no like having a general understanding of how things are moving and what could give me those strikeouts. But that's as far as it went. I still had to do it and able to do it. There's an intangible part of the game still. So I try to inject that when I have these conversations as much as possible, because it's very, very easy to say, like, for example, hopefully he won't kill me for talking about this, but I have a cousin-in-law who is playing Division I baseball right now, and he is a redshirt sophomore, 6'3", left-handed, 235 pounds. He walked on there, but because he over COVID, he rose his fastball from 87 to 94. Like, because he's a big dude, and I helped him with a long toss routine. He wasn't a big long toss guy. I'm like, dude, you want to throw hard, you got to throw hard. And so he got that. He got on the team, and it was great. And I hadn't talked to him since he played his first season, and he was just like, man, he told me about an outing where they had him throw only curveballs. Like, literally every pitch, he threw 2 innings of only curveballs, and he had a great outing and had a couple strikeouts, but he's got a mid 70s curveball, and I'm like, and he's like, it went well, but and I was like, you're not happy because you see yourself as a power guy and you're getting pigeonholed at 19. And so I was like, and I know that comes a little bit from, it might come a little bit from, it might come a little bit from, in college you got to win, and we know a lot about like you decide what your best pitch is, and then you use it to go get your results in college. But you're also young, and there has to be a development element of it too. Right. And and with a very heavy like analytics approach to development and things, sometimes the long term, like, it's very, this is what happens in the past and this is what it shows us, so this is what's going to be our best predictor of the future. But there is at what point is a player done doing new stuff that's never been seen from him? Like, where is that line? What age, right? Or what level of base? That's an interesting question that I don't think sometimes can get lost when you're like, oh wow, I should let you throw your fastball because you need to get in. It could be high 90s. It could be. That's in there. I can see it. And if you never throw it, you'll never see if you got there or not. So, and there's no number that'll tell you that unless you've done it before. You guys understand what I'm saying? It's very, very much based on past performance. And it's very interesting. I feel like I have a different view on that than maybe a lot of people in the analyst community that maybe haven't played, 7 years of Major League Baseball.
Right. Well, I mean, as a coach, I know that that's something where you want to develop the kid, but if the kid is pitching a certain pitch well, you want to go with it and win the game. But yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So
it's a tale old as time. It's just now there's analytics attached to it that give you even a better confidence in that pitch is their best one. Like it used to be like, obviously it's your best one. We watch you do it. It's awesome, right? But now it's like, but there's also like science tells us it actually is the best one too. So that's just. Now we have to throw it, right? That's a very easy connection to make. It's really interesting, and it takes how you approach those things to continue to develop or like get opportunities is like it's just like a different approach to before. You used to have to just prove it out there, and now there's like you have to be like vocal and you have to like pursue it yourself. It's not just it's really interesting, but I think it's actually long term. Especially like with young guys throwing 5 innings, right? A lot of young guys coming up, they're just throwing 5 innings immediately. Like you can't face the team three times.
Yeah.
And those young guys have to go and be like, I am a horse and I am an ace. I can throw CGs. You got to let me do it. Like those guys have to do that now. They're not like it's not going to happen unless they do that.
Yeah.
But I guess true aces would do that, right? So it's going to be really interesting the next 5 years in the major leagues. All these young guys coming up.
Corbin Burns winning the Cy Young and his third time through the order, 4.41 ERA.
Yeah,
I
mean, it's that. It's the same thing as like, of course, fastballs are hit harder than break. Like, of course it is. That's logic, right? Like you face a team the third time through, aggregately, even the bigger the sample size for that gets, probably the bigger that discrepancy gets. I bet you the more innings they throw the third time around, the more it separates from those first two for a lot of guys, just because, of course, there's fatigue and there's the third timer. All these things are there that weren't there for the first two things. Of course, like, yes, that makes sense.
Right.
It's just that's when the art of managing and managing a team and playing the game as players comes in. That's when the art of reaching down deep and getting the job done comes in. That's when a guy who's extremely confident versus a guy who's not extremely confident. That's when they're both on even playing field and all they have to do is go based on their literal emotions at that time. Who wins? That's the beauty of this. That's one of the beautiful things about sport that I love. And I just love two guys with nothing left, where there's no numbers now are going to tell you what's going to happen. You're just going to have to see who wants it more.
Yeah,
they can love that stuff. So
that is the heart of baseball. Yeah,
and I hope we preserve that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Hey, we've got a lot of mailbag questions that were sent in. Really great response from everybody. So, let's do a couple. Some of these are quick answers, so let's get through them. Always Honest Abe. Actually, I think I used to play softball with him when this guy lived in New York. You're talking about the change curve, and obviously I'm not a major league pitcher, but my pitch is the change screwball. Maybe the change screw? Yeah. Good pitch, anyways. Very effective in my league. It's all relative to your league, of course. So here's his questions. First, who is the batter you least want to face with the bases loaded in a tie game?
Oh, it is a very, very close between these two guys. I would say as close as it could be, but Juan Soto is no one. I know that's low-hanging fruit, but he's just like, can't strike him out. He's going to put the ball in play, and he's very good at hitting the ball very hard. And you're not going to fool him. And then Freddie Freeman is right behind him for those same reasons.
Actually, Jerry Blevins said the same thing. He didn't want to face Freddie Freeman. I think Freddie Freeman had a 400 batting average against the lefty specialist, Jerry Blevins.
Yeah. When you're a lefty specialist and the guy's left-handed, and you're like, I can't get this left-handed guy out, and you're like, what's the point of me?
Right.
Zach Duke says the same thing about Joe Mauer. He's like, loved it, guys. They bring me in. I go in. I give up a single to Joe, and then I go get pulled. It was great.
Yeah, and unfortunately for you, Soto is in your division. So that's
they're all in my division.
Next question. That is true. Well, Freeman, you never know. He'll probably stay in Atlanta. But
probably.
Why number 65?
Everyone's like, it's because you're 6'5", right? I'm like, no. Honestly, I got it. They gave it to me my first spring training. I stuck with it. The number I've always wanted was 54. I've been a big number 7 my whole life, and then I was like, you know what? That's not a starting pitcher number. Then I was in the 50s all through the minors because that's the biggest jersey on the team. And that's how that works. And 54 is when I was able to get several years in a row. So I was like, I always liked Ichiro and Randy Johnson, 51. So I was like 51 if it's available. But I've had 54, so let's stick with 54. I get to the big leagues. Irvin Santana, 54. No shot. And then so I'm like, okay, well, I got 65. This is my rookie number. All